Right, there's this line I say a lot in relation to marriage, and I will say, I used to have an answer or to everything, and then I got married. So, principle 4 is about letting your partner influence you, and Gottman has the guys directly in the crosshairs on this one, because a lot of what this chapter is about, really at the root of it, is about the two of you creating that life together, that vision for your relationship together. Mm-hmm. But Gottman says that a lot of couples, especially men, don't allow their wives to have that influence over them. He starts with a really great little story where there's this guy who wants to buy a car, almost a brand new car, from his buddy who's getting transferred overseas for something. And the guy's like, oh, it's brand new. It's got like 300 miles on it. I'm giving you a great deal. And the guy says, no, I need to have it checked out by a mechanic. The guy's like, well, why, man? It's like brand new. And he says, well, because I promised my wife anytime that I would consider a purchase like this, that I'd get it checked out. I'd do my due diligence. And the guy kind of makes fun of him, about, oh, let your wife tell you how to buy a car. And he has it checked out and finds out that there's actually a break where there's a mechanical problem. And so he even kind of chuckles and says, Jeremy checked with his mechanic and it turned out there was a problem. So he didn't buy Phil's car. And he said, but more important, he never bought Phil's attitude toward women. So I love that line that he says there. And so what's so important about this chapter really is that even when you look at not just the regular decision making in a relationship, it's that quite often that men have their head in the sand when it comes to marriage issues. They're not the type that want to rock the boat. They don't want to have confrontation. And he writes here, and I firmly believe it's true because it's what happened with us. He says, more than 80% of the time, it's the wife who brings up sticky marital issues, while the husband tries to avoid discussing them. Yeah. So true. This isn't a symptom of a troubled marriage. It's just true, even in happy marriages.
I think it's the balance of masculine and feminine energy. And you can flip this because there are women that have a heavy masculine energy around this type of stuff. Mm-hmm. But that's a lot of what it is.
Right.
And it's true.
It is. So that's really, he doesn't say that, the happy wife, happy life thing is important either. Like he says, you shouldn't be rolling over and just doing whatever they want to do.
Right.
But it's really just...
And then you have two people head in the sand. And it's,
Right. So his exercises here is he talks about, accepting influence. Mm. How well do you accept influence from your partner? And it's really quite eye-opening, because he had you go through tests in this and understanding it. Do you really allow? So what is it that you're doing that allows this, And again, this first exercise is called Yield to Win, which I found very interesting. Again, he blankly says, men, you should be doing this exercise. It's like, doesn't mean women can't do it, but I really want men to do it. So again, it goes also back to emotional intelligence, right? Yes. He says, your wife wants to spend money on house repairs. You tell her it's just not affordable unless she cuts back her spending in other areas. She says your attitude is unfair and asks, well, why is there somehow always money to spend on the things that you think are important? How do you respond to these situations? Do you suddenly let that trigger you and create, some sort of contempt or criticism or defensiveness, really, is what old Lance would have experienced in these situations. But he gives some sample answers where he even says, hey, this is a reasonable request from your wife. Delivery might not have been spot on. It's a reasonable request, and turning toward in the situation, allowing your partner to influence you. Say, okay, what are the things we want to get done? What are these things that we want to get done?
Well, I think that comes back to having a shared vision.
Yes.
Where so often the women or one party has this vision and this idea for the way life should be and look and feel, and the man has something completely different. And so until you create a shared vision together where this housework is something that's on the top of the priority list collectively, I don't want to say it doesn't matter who's influencing who, but
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because you have a shared vision.
Right. And he actually has a great fun exercise that he has. Exercise 2 is called the Gottman Island Survival Game.
That's amazing.
It is. It's a great one. So essentially, the two of you are stranded on an island, and you have this list of your ship has an inventory, and you're able to choose 10 things. Each one of you does it separately. Then you come together and you collectively create a list of 10 things that will help you survive.
Right.
But a lot of it has to do with how well. So when that's done, he asks questions like, "Well, how well were you able to influence your partner? How did you allow them to influence you? Did one try to dominate the other? How did that go with each other? And did you have fun? Was it actually fun? Did you have fun going through this exercise?"
But this is an exercise that you can do with other things.
Oh yeah, totally,
Right?
totally.
Like, what are we spending our money on?
Right.
Right?
Well, I think that's the idea, right? Is to take a fun exercise and
Yes.
wow, I just garnered a skill
What are
from
we
this.
spending our time on?
Right.
Like, what are the top 10 most important things? And this is where, influence or not, I would like to bring collaboration to this, which I guess that's like a combined influence. But have these conversations and plan for the future of what, yes, we are spending our money on, yet what are we spending our time on? What is important to us?
Yeah, you think about, you hear it often said that financial challenges are often one of the biggest
It's number one divorce.
for divorce.
Yeah.
And a lot of that simply comes not from the fact that you don't have money, it's that you didn't communicate about it. It's like you didn't talk about it until there was a big giant problem.
Yeah.
So
Right. Yeah.
that's really what a lot of this principle is really about, is allowing to collectively influence each other, create a vision together
Yes.
that you both.
A lot of times it's one person creating the majority and the other one's along for the ride.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's generating alignment as well. So
Right.
again, there's a lot of EQ, a lot of emotional intelligence that comes into
Yeah.
play here. So
Yeah.